For this.
You got a Sophie's Choice.
I got like
there.
40 minutes left of this demo. I want all the damage I can get out of it and run that way.
Yeah, that was. Was a big discussion in this back to the board thing of like we had made a rule set early on that Kratos stayed looking exactly like Kratos. We'd never manipulate sort of the look unless we had established a very specific, like when he added the golden fleece.
Yeah.
That was limited, but we wouldn't give the player the control over it. And I was like, we really need to loosen that. Like, I love being able to customize something.
100%.
You know, like, I love feeling like I have a little bit of a reflection of me in the game, right? And I feel like
it's that agency, right? You want to own it and you want to have
That's
a part of it.
That's the beautiful thing about games is that we're connected to it a lot more. It's not a passive thing. I'm not just watching it, right? I'm participating and I'm controlling it, so I should have as much control as possible.
Something, it didn't strike me when... it struck me when I was playing it that it was something special, but I couldn't put my finger on it for a while. There's a little bit of Super Mario Odyssey in this game to me.
Oh,
in the way that when we were talking about Odyssey last year, we would talk about the fact that if you were going and you looked left and you saw a platform or something there, it was there for a reason. It wasn't just put there. Like if you're coming up, there's the door and there's extra space over here. Why is there extra? Okay, a coin pops or whatever.
Yeah.
I had to stop while we were playing the game from drifting off the main course, because it was that thing of like Atreus like, all right, we're going this way, Dad, come on, and then I would look around and be like, well, no, we're not. Like I need to know what's down there by the water and up there, and then figuring out like how to, you know, like I was getting to it before the game was even telling you like where to throw stuff and how to open doors and stuff. And so to go through there and find the new chest, to go through there and find the super special chests that have the symbols on them that I have to then find in the world to break, I was like, wow, like that's awesome. Like, you know what I mean? In terms of the TLC, the vast scope of the game, and then back to the thing of, it's linear. You're going to go from this. We're going to get the same story beats, but is Kevin going to go off and investigate all that? And granted, I'm going to do it for trophies, but is he going to go off and do all this different stuff and try to find that and make my Kratos more powerful? And all, you know, the currency I was finding where I'm like, oh, I'm really going to, when I get here, I mean, I'm smashing everything on screen, obviously, because I just want to make sure I can get there and get the best stuff possible.
That's the sort of rewarding curiosity.
Yeah.
You know, this like aspect of gaming that lets you sort of embrace discovery and feel like you're the pioneer, right?
Yeah.
You're the person going out and finding these things, and there's this like endorphin rush of satisfaction of feeling like, wow,
that I didn't waste my time, right? I didn't go down here and find a dead end. Yeah.
And it's, I mean, you're right. Like everything in the world is there with a purpose. Every piece of writing on the walls is actually Old Norse. So we've written things out, translated it to Old Norse, and then translated the Old Norse to the Elder Futhark runes. Okay. So literally everything around the world like is telling a story, right? But also is there to entice you to go maybe a few steps off the path, you're going to find something fun. Maybe down a hallway you're going to find something fun. Maybe you're going to discover an entirely different level, right? And it's like, to me, that's why I play games, right? I play games because I feel like I can get immersed in a world that has been crafted by people who really care, right? Who want to make me lose sight of the real world for, 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours.
Something I've been saying now on Twitter since the preview went live on Games Daily, but talking to fans about it, right, is a compliment that I never would have thought to say to you, or would I have thought to say in the preview, right? But I think needs to be said now with hindsight and how people are acting. Playing this game, I never thought of The Last of Us. Because I think so many people, I remember at reveal, I was going, oh, well, it's Last of Us with Kratos and this kid or whatever. And then when the preview started posting, so many of the reactions from people were like, I'm not interested, it just looks like Last of Us. Right. And I was like, oh, right, like, no. Yeah. Playing this, I never thought about that. It wasn't the same experience at all. Like, were you expecting people from a reveal to now to be hung up on that in places?
Initially, no. I was a little surprised by that simply because it was not really in our headspace. And when people started saying like Last of Us of War and stuff like that, you're just like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But I mean, it really is that surface level of saying like, because there is an older man and a child and a close-up camera, it's Last of Us. And I was like, okay. Like, to me, it's such a phenomenal game. Like, it's not ever
Your
bad
game?
to
I
be.
know.
Thank you. Very good. But it's
not like that hack Neil Druckmann's game.
Right. Neil is a wonderful human being.
I know, I like him a lot. He likes us.
You're always, So he is, Last of Us is a good comparison in the sense that, hey, we're in the league with a very, very, very good game. Yeah. But it really is the speed of the two games, sort of every aspect, aside from having a companion and a close-up camera. The way we handle the story of fatherhood is very different. Yeah,
to say the least.
Yeah, very, very different. But it's an interesting thing because I had a journalist in Madrid actually say a similar thing. That after they finished it, he said, "I do think it's kind of unfair of us as journalists to use it as a comparison. We struggled because you didn't give us a lot to actually describe it accurately, but after playing it, he's like, yeah, I kind of feel like I do it a disservice because then people assume going in, oh, I'm going to get Last of Us, and it's a very different game, right? Whether that's a positive or a negative to them." And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like,
and I was surprised when it popped up of people reading previews or watching the video, and that's what they were thinking. Because playing it feels so much like a matured God of War. It doesn't. I'm not playing this at all and feeling like, oh, right, this is a relationship like I had with Ellie.
Right.
No,
I'm not. Control-C, Control-V.
Yeah. Yeah. At no point in time is that what I'm taking away from it. Yeah.
I do like the Reset era, a whole series of posts where everybody just started saying like literally every game under the sun. Oh, this is so like Tetris. This is completely The Sims. Does everybody not see this? It's totally The Sims. And I'm just like, all right, that's funny.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for everybody to get there and play it. Because I think that's the big part of it.
I mean, honestly, that's what I've sort of always thought through this is that, one, it's playing the whole thing. Like, being able to play the entire game, I think that truly is the experience people need to have. Like, I struggle with the idea of ever showing anything of it because I hate spoilers. Sure. I hate seeing a trailer and feeling like I don't need to see the movie. You literally show me every good thing about the movie. Yeah. But also that first experience, right? That kind of aha you get in a really great television show, a really great game that kind of gives you the, oh my God, the eco reveal, the shadow reveal. I mean, even Last of Us, the reveal that they had, amazing, right? God of War 1, the reveal, right? I figure I can actually say what that one is.
I don't know.
Right? Somebody probably hasn't played it, so cover your earmuffs. Earmuffs,
everybody.
The reveal of his wife and child's ashes, right? Was just like, wow, and I can't imagine kind of knowing that in advance, right? Like going into it and feeling like, oh, it's spoiled. And so much of the game isn't just those kinds of reveals. Like, it's not about just a story reveal. There are moments in there that are not story related that it's like, if you experience it the first time, it's awesome.
Well, that's why I've danced around it the best I can, right? You know what I mean? Like, because it was, you guys asked, obviously, when we left, like, don't spoil the game. Don't give a blow-by-blow account. And I'm like, of course.
Because you're notorious for that. Like,
people, I reenacted
they're like
the Last
wanted
of Us.
posters on the wall that's like, Craig Miller, spoiler.
Get him out of here.
Yeah.
But the thing, when I did the preview on Games Daily, I mentioned a few things that I was like, this isn't a spoiler. And the amount of people were doing like, oh, man, you said this person, that's probably going to be the boss. And I was like, well, I kind of think we could have guessed that person was going to be involved. But okay, cool. But you need to understand that I've saved moments for you there.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? That superhero fight I keep talking about.
You haven't spoiled anything, man. I
Thank you
think it
very
was
much.
good.
Thank you.
That was very positive, and I think it hopefully
that's
gets
why you liked
people
it a lot,
excited.
yeah.
Yeah. If you said something shitty, I totally would have been like, "You spoiled everything."
You would have canceled this interview.
Yeah,
You're
I'd
not
have been
coming
like,
here at all. Yeah,
Hashtag
exactly.
cancel my pre-order, Greg.
You'd get it going. You cancel this
Right.
lovely PlayStation 4 Pro.
Oh, this thing is beautiful.
Talk to me about this, because this is something that comes up all the time on Games Daily. What is what is a studio's involvement in a PlayStation 4 Pro Special Edition? Do they bounce anything off you, or is it literally?
We're pretty actively involved in literally everything.
Really?
We are obsessive compulsive control freaks at Santa Monica.
Yeah.
You know, I say we, but it's probably me. That's,
Yeah.
that's a lot
You're
like
just
that.
the only control freak. Yeah.
But I have some pretty intensely talented artists that have very strong opinions and make everything look great, so I trust them implicitly. And this thing, we started on it like well over a year ago, and we were in the middle of some of our hardest times to try to get things done. So we were pretty actively involved in it, but the hardware group that actually does this too is just incredibly talented. So
Yeah.
you know, it really was just everybody supporting each other to come up with something.
That's awesome, because we've always wanted to know, because it seems like some of them look really good, some of them are like not so sure about. And it's like, where's the disconnect? And I
Yeah.
think for yours in particular, it's one of those. I know it was a mixed bag of reactions for it, but I
Yeah.
think seeing it up close, I like it more. And then it's also, I think, when people play through the game and understand the symbols more and how they all work in the game
Yeah.
and what that means, I think that'll mean more as well. It's also worth pointing out the light up PlayStation sacred symbols are mine. That does not come with the special edition.
Yeah, that's
just
not
me.
with it.
No.
Special swag just for you.
Thank you.
There was going to be, initially, we kind of went overboard. So there's all these options, and it's really just like kid in a candy store. We ticked all the boxes.
For the
So-
Pro?
Yeah, for this
Oh.
one, and it was never going to happen.
It had like bells and it had like a
like
Kratos
glowing
face.
runes on the front and stuff like that, and it was just like ridiculous because
Yeah.
we were. It was,
It's
you know,
$1,000 special
like
edition.
$47,000 for this thing, right? You can buy a Tesla or the PS4 Pro.
So where are you at right now? Close. We're a month away from release.
Yes.
Like, what does that do to you mentally? Like, is life getting back to normal? Is it still crazy? The game's gold. I'm assuming people are still doing day one patch buggy things. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean
I think
now
that's official code word for what you guys do.
Yeah.
Day one patch buggy.
patch
things.
buggy thingies. Yeah, that's the tech terms. And yeah, we're still working on that stuff. I'm still kind of traveling around talking to people,
Sure.
getting people excited about the game.
Yeah.
Things will slow down for me in May, probably. Beginning of May is when I'm gonna.
And to celebrate our anniversary, a big fancy dress party was planned.
I've taken 2 days off to build my costume, which is Pyramid Head from
to squeeze those down to
my name's Peter Molyneux. This episode's going to be all about combat.
I got into a fight at school and I got my jaw broken. That was pretty nasty.
I came away with all sorts of broken limbs and cuts and gashes and bruises and God knows what.
My worst fight's probably where I just got knocked out by a midget. Well, not necessarily a midget, but he was a very small guy.
Whether we like it or not, there was a lot of combat in Fable 1, and we really wanted to specialise and make something different for Fable 2. So we've looked at a couple of things. One is something that's called one-button combat. Now, a lot of people have said, you can't put combat on one button. What I hope this video diary says to you is that you can.
On Fable 1, we had loads of different ideas about how we wanted to move forward with the combat. And we always would come up with a new thing, and there'd always be the standard problem of, well, how do we work this into the controls? And it was just so limiting, thinking, well, we've run out of buttons for that. How will the player actually make this happen? And by stripping back to just using one button, it's like, well, it seems the sky's the limit all of a sudden. Anything we can think of, based on the context that it's appropriate, we can do just with a single button press.
The key thing that we've been dealing with one-button combat is ensuring that it is approachable for all gamers. It is approachable for people who haven't played games before, but it's also got the depth that seasoned gamers want. That was one of the key things that we felt we could have done a little better with in Fable 1.
There are fewer things a player can do with his hands, so you have to make sure that of all the enormous varieties of actions that the character can do in the game, you always get the one that is most appropriate for where you want to be. So you almost want the game to read the player's mind and do exactly what he intends to do at that specific time, which, as you can imagine, mind reading is quite a difficult thing to program.
Our goal is not to make combat look realistic, it's to make it believable. We want you to feel like you're in the game, hitting the enemies. I mean, it's not a realistic game. It's got creatures in it, it's got hobs, it's got gigantic trolls, you use magic. We want the combat to all fit together in this world, and we want the world to be believable.
The character in the game, we like to think, is smarter than any character in any game before this, as far as combat's concerned. He always knows where he is, he always knows what's around him, and is going to use all items of the environment that he can to basically cause as much damage to his enemies as possible in the coolest way you can imagine.
If you're close enough to the enemy and you press attack, you get to smack their head off a log, which is great. And then sets it up nicely for a finishing move.
He's going to the loo.
We did loads of research. We looked at videos, we looked at games, we just happened to find people around the studio that had life-sized weapons at home. A little bit disturbing. Not completely real, but there were some life-size metal swords brought in, which it was really useful because we could go out into the car park and video ourselves doing specific moves for the hero. We also got a sword master in called Richard Ryan, who showed us how he would actually fight with a sword. Quite a scary guy. He had a guitar case full of weapons and didn't mind getting quite close to us when he was demonstrating swings and things. But that gave us a lot of ideas, a lot of new ideas. The most important factor in making combat believable is the reaction of the enemy. So when you hit the enemy, if they react in a way that's incredibly satisfying, it's just fantastic.
We're looking at perhaps unlocking certain elements of the combat further along down the storyline, so that instead of having everything available from the start, your character becomes more skilled as the story progresses.
The most exciting introduction to Fable is the flintlock pistol, which comes with a complete design and style of Fable 2, which is a highwayman. And you know, without highwaymen, you have to have guns.
I'm very confident actually that we're going to cover everything that, well, I'll never say everything that a player will want to do, because there's some pretty weird players out there from the mail we get. But you know, I'd say 95% of what people want to do, I think we're going to get in there. Absolutely.
When it comes to combat, nothing beats a good old game of English football. Lionhead challenged fellow Microsoft game studio Rare at a recent match.
The footy against Rare was fantastic. We really want to try and make it a regular thing, really. Just a regular drubbing that we can dish out to them.
How's the match going, Wood? It's going pretty good. Are you winning? We are, with 2-0 up front.
And just for the record, who won? Lionhead or Rare?
Lionhead, wasn't it, I think? Yeah, absolutely. Lionhead.
Yes, I am a geek and a Greek.
I would say I'm a hidden geek.
I am a complete geek.
Well, I don't think so. I like to keep up with the latest trends on the high streets.
I suppose I am a bit of a geek. I've had the traditional geek bringing up. I had a chemistry set at the age of 7.
Tim Rance is a very big geek, yeah, but I mean, we can sort of make exceptions for some people.
Attention to all sorts of very obscure technical details that bores everybody stupid.
CTG stands for Central Technology Group, and the purpose of the Central Technology Group is to create reusable technology that can be used by all of the game teams.
If I asked you to build a house and presented you with a big pile of rocks and trees and concrete and so on, the first thing you'd probably ask me for would be the right tools.
The specific advantages of CTG within the company for the games is that they can focus purely on the gameplay. They don't have to worry about writing tools again, writing technology again.
The tools that we create are in use by the Fable team, and they aren't tools that you can just buy off the shelf.
A follow-up project or game will use the same code and tools that we've produced, and they can go straight into making the game and producing cool games for everybody.
Currently I'm working on a spline tool. That means splines are basically curves, so I'm trying to make a tool to help people put things on curves.
Lionhead has been making these tools and games for the past 10 years, and to celebrate our anniversary, a big fancy dress party was planned.
I've taken 2 days off to build my costume.
On creating games which cost tens of millions of dollars, sometimes it's great to be able to have a small group of people who can actually spend some time that's not directly